Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour. This week we've got me, we've got Tyler, and we've got a special guest today. James is celebrating his son's second birthday. Second birthday? He's 2 already?
2.
Yeah, AJ's 2, so he had a birthday party, chilling with the fam. So we brought in old friend, league mate, co-champion, Memphis. What's going on, Memphis? How the hell are you?
Man, I am great. Yeah, I forgot we were co-champions. Trade Addict 7. You guys have won what 1.5. I've won 2.5 because you take the 0.5 and it's 1 each. You know, it doesn't matter as long as fellow league mate and friend Riley Bymaster has 0.
That's
all that matters.
So
that's
let's
all
keep him in the 0 column.
That's
You had to
correct.
bring somebody else in because
it doesn't matter.
Down.
We were talking about pro wrestling just a minute ago. I'm gonna hit him with the top rope elbow. Just gonna continue to dig it. Oh yeah, but dude, I'm doing great. Been doing some stuff with the guys over at Player Profiler, as well as the Dynasty Warzone, and I got a new podcast starting on Monday nights. It's going to be called Kiss the Ring. I'm going to be looking to get my man Tyler there. It's about commissioning. It's about commissioning fantasy leagues.
Gross.
Dude, when you commission,
I commission a league.
do you? When you commission a league, you do the Lord's work. So I'm going to be doing that on Mondays. I'll be going every other week until the season starts. So it's an 8-episode deal. And then in season, we're going to do it once a month. But just a lot going on, man. But I was super stoked when Tyler said, hey, man, come on the podcast. I'm like, I even did work, by the way. I got a whole list of notes for this episode.
I have to say, when you say we do the Lord's work, is that because we get crucified every year?
Dude, it's
Tyler does.
I mean, I'll be in the leagues I'm in with Tyler. One league, he is the commissioner. He commissions the Ultimate Dynasty Podcasters League, and I'm not saying it. I'm not saying exactly. I'm not saying it because you're the commissioner, because you do a great job. You're very interactive. You're making sure the chat's moving along. You're making great trades. I mean, you are really a commissioner, because that's part of it, guys. When you commission the league, you got to keep the league. If you see your league stagnant, you got to get in there and mix it up.
Dumb trade. Just to
I don't think.
things
Well, we can, maybe that's a different show. I don't know, but Tyler's a great commissioner from that fact. That's a great group of guys. But sometimes you have a league that just is got opportunities, and those are some of the things. I've got a list of topics. I've got 2 commitments already for guests this offseason. I'm going to get Tyler on there with me one Monday night if his work schedule will allow, and it's going to be interactive. So if you have questions, you can DM me on Twitter at DWZMemphis, and we'll see about getting your question on there. We're also going to do a segment because everybody, without fail, has a horrible, bad commissioner story. So you can also share those with me. We're going to do
a horrible owner story or 2 or 10.
Yeah, well, those things usually
keep those on the back burner. We don't want to bring those out.
Those things usually coincide. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I've got going on. But I wanted to use that as a cheap plug to the Dynasty Happy Hour audience, and B, as a way to give Tyler a little bit of love, because Tyler really is a fantastic commissioner.
And he's a ginger, so he needs as much love as he can get, because there's none in his heart. It's cold. It's soulless. The only soul he has is the Kia that he drives.
That is very true, and I will drive that soul into the ground.
Right, and you know what? It's funny you said kiss the ring, Memphis, because I don't know if you knew this, but Trophy Smack has the best belts, championship trophies in the industry, and when you use code DHH Ring, you get a free $60 ring. Now, if you get that for free and you choose to kiss it, that's up to you. Or if you want to make your other, league members kiss the ring and have like a godfather, like James would probably do this because he's very Italian. He lives in Jersey. So he would probably do a move like this in a home league, the Bada Bing League or whatever it's called, Gym Tan Laundry. What? I don't know.
Bada Bing League.
The Bada Bing League. Hey, it's a Fugazi. Forget about it. So yeah. Check out TrophySmack.com, the best in the industry. They're going to be hosting a Scott Fishbowl 13 live draft, I believe, again in LA, which is amazing. Yeah. Matt, fly us out. I'm down. Let's go. We've a long-time sponsor here at Dynasty Happy Hour, but it's TrophySmack.com. Stuff for the losers in your league as well. Once again, code DHHRing. Get that free $60 ring at checkout when you buy a trophy or a belt. The heavyweight champion belt, preferably. No Intercontinental Tito Santana belt. That's a callback from before.
I just want one of the belts.
How about no, I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, so this week we are talking about rostership. We've pretty much done all our rookie drafts at this point. I actually have 2 auctions left, so I have 2 leagues that are incomplete. But I can tell you who I'm targeting. Maybe we'll get fun.
We all know.
With it.
We'll find out.
I mean, if you listen to this podcast, you probably have a good idea of who I like. So
all of our shared leagues are basically gone, so we're not causing any ruckus there.
No, I'm in an auction with Doug. So
yes, well, I mean, we're not going to fight. My team's ready to win. I don't need big splashy players. Tyler's got money.
I've got lots of money.
Yeah, you got lots of money, but I got lots of great players, so it's good. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's good. We're good. We'll talk a little smack. And my other auction league is the SmackDown versus Raw, which is run by our friend Robbie Jeffries, which is a wrestling theme league, and I'm the Macho King. Oh yeah! And I'm going to be winning players left and right, and it's going to be amazing. Tyler, did we have any news? James, he took the day off. He's like, you know what? It's my kid's birthday. Show sheet, kick rocks. I think we had the news for me was seeing the rookies in their uniforms.
Yeah. So, by the way, my news is we get it. Bryce Young's short. Memphis, are you sick and tired of going on Twitter and hearing that Bryce Young is short? Because I think it's getting a little played out.
I got to give the Twitter space and the NFL media combined a lot of credit. How you can take information we all already knew and make news out of it is beyond me, but kudos. Because clearly it's befuddling to some people that Bryce Young is in fact small. We knew this. It's like what was the weatherman from Family Guy? It gonna rain.
Ain't gonna rain.
Ain't gonna rain. It's like
Cornelius or something. Yeah, something like that.
Bryce Young short. We know. So I'm kind of over it too. It's like I like the Will Levis video the other day of the throwing of the football. Some of the guys in camp catching passes, but Bryce Young being short's like telling me that like it's sunny outside. It's like I know. I got you. Thank you.
Yeah. And the most frustrating thing about that is everybody talking in absolutes. Like, hey, we haven't seen it, so it's not going to happen. Like, I am a Bryce Young apologist. I really like him. I think his mental ability is going to push him past the height. I think he's a very smart player. They're going to probably set him up for success with Frank Reich and everybody around him, Josh McCown. But I don't get the hate. The guy, everybody loved him, and we anybody who's in the Devy space knew he was smaller in Alabama, and yet everybody's like, "This is the dude. This guy's going to be so good." Then he stepped on the freaking scale and stepped up on the ruler, and they're like, "Oh, he's short. Nope, I'm off."
Yeah, I think we see this every year, right? Like, it's all humans are visual creatures, so once we see Bryce Young with his new offensive lineman, and he looks small. I remember this happening years ago when Eddie Lacy supposedly weighed 1,000 pounds, and it was no, he didn't weigh that at all. It was just the camera angle and everything like that. Now, I know Bryce Young, your height is your height, whatever. I just think people are bored because we've all done rookie drafts. Now we're seeing the players in uniform, which I thought was cool because it's nice to see them pick their numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's nice to get that visual of this is what they're going to look like on the field in their new threads, which is really cool. So that was my news of the week. There hasn't been much in the transaction side or anything like that. I don't want to get down narrative street with rookie mini camp stuff. That's all we all get. That last year it was Traylon Burks can't breathe. And all this other BS, and look, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad Traylon Burks went away from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where his mask leaks a hole and then he couldn't breathe and his what was that?
It's Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good, but as long as Traylon Burks doesn't show up to rookie camp, so for us in Dynasty, always jonesing for news. Mandatory mini camp is June 6th through 8th. So 2 weekends from where we're recording right now, we'll have some tidbits, as it were. I just hope, for my sake, because I actually think he's an off-season winner. But for me, I hope he shows up fat. I'm talking old school Kelvin Benjamin.
Because Memphis is going to be bye.
Justin Blackman. Style.
Yeah, just looks like he Macaulay Culkin at the end of My Girl. Like he was just stung by bees.
Oh my God.
Or Will Smith and what was it, Hitch? Was that Hitch?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just had the visual of Macaulay Culkin and My Girl.
That movie traumatized me as a kid, and now there's
Oh
so
yeah,
many good
that's
memes.
why I bring it up all these years later for sure.
There's so many good memes about it.
AnnaKlumsky.com. That was the chick in the movie. I don't know. I'm dumb pop culture knowledge. That's me. So hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Taylor Swift concert out here this weekend. Pouring rain last night. That was fun. I went and saw Janet Jackson the other night. Still can bring it at 57 years old. She was dancing and singing. It was great. Beautiful show. Anywho, let's get into these rookie shares. Let me pull mine up real quick. All right. We're going to start with our guest, Memphis. Memphis, first of all, how many leagues are you in right now, young man?
24. I got like 2 drafts left. I'm in the middle of one right now, and I got one, I think the first of next month. So been through a lot of drafts, and I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
Tyler, how many leagues are you in currently?
I'm in 11, and
that's a shockingly low number.
That's where I'll probably stay. Last year I was about 12. I'm at 11 now, and I think that's what I'm good with. My first ever Dynasty League I joined, I quit this year because they are old school people. They don't want to change rules. There's no flex involved, and it just got stale to me.
It's boring.
I love the guys in it, but man,
we must evolve.
Yeah, commissioning that league was a little tougher than normal, and yeah, the whole not wanting to evolve. It's a 10-team league. It was rosters were stacked. Yeah, so I quit that one. So I am down to A11.
Is that on my bingo card? There's no A in bingo. I am in 13 leagues, and I have not drafted in 2 thus far.
Yep.
So 11 for me as well, but they got 2 more to go. So obviously my results are a little bit skewed, but I can give you who I have. But I'm not going to do that first because I'm going to let our guest, Memphis, who is your top-owned rookie or rookies that could be in the same, the amount could be the same here in 2023?
6 rosters have Michael Wilson Jr. from the Arizona Cardinals. I've been getting him. The earliest I've had to get him was 308, and the reason why I took him at 308 is I hated the board. It was a 1 QB league, and that was the earliest. Most of the time, he's been going in like around later because most of my leagues are super flex leagues.
Yeah, it's usually in the 4th.
So I've been getting him right around 405, 406. Just a guy that I love the draft capital, day 3 draft capital, and you know, been blessed to have, you know, made a lot of friends in this space over the years. And a lot of those guys have been to the Senior Bowl, including like a friend of mine, John Sheps. He runs Toilets to Titles YouTube page. And he was talking about how good this guy looked off the line. And I believe you're either better than, the same as, or different than your competition. And you look around the rest of the Arizona Cardinals and you've got like 5'9", you know, Marquise Brown. Maybe he's 5'10". I don't know. You got Greg Dortch, who's short. You got Rondale Moore, who's short. The only tall guy at the wide receiver position is DeAndre Hopkins. And there's a real world where once we get past June 1st and some of these contracts can be manipulated and cap hits can be adjusted and absorbed differently, I think you're going to see DeAndre Hopkins on a different team. By the time we were lighting off fireworks here in America on July 4th, I think Hopkins is going to be on a different team. I like the fact that from what I've seen, I haven't had a chance to do like a heat mapping. I think Kyler pushes the ball to the boundary quite a bit because he's short and it's hard to see over the offensive line, speaking of short QBs. And I think Wilson's going to be heavily involved, given the fact that he's going in like the mid-3rd in a 1 QB to the mid-4th in a super flex tight end premium. I love having 6 of those on my roster. Michael Wilson is my number 1 most owned rookie and my number 1 most owned wide receiver.
Nice. And I'm not here for this Auden Tate disrespect, who is an Arizona Cardinal, who is a large.
Who?
Exactly.
Oh, I don't want to play. I don't have the soundboard hooked up.
I'm a Florida State guy, so I got to rep Auden Tate, you know.
If I'd have known I needed the soundboard, I would have hit you with a Conor McGregor. Who is that guy?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like Michael Wilson, especially at his ADP, and I think you know, I think he had some injury history at Stanford
Yep.
that kind of like suppressed him a bit. But
Yeah, he had a foot thing that went from one season to the next. I think it was a
Yeah.
Liz Frank.
A Rex Ryan foot thing or like an actual injury?
Well, I mean, there's a foot thing, and then there's a Rex Ryan foot thing. Do not Google Rex Ryan foot thing. You're welcome.
No.
Yeah.
Save your search history.
yeah, Tyler, who is your numero uno when it comes to rookie
I've got
ownership?
2. Do you want them both or do you want one?
Oh, just give them both to me. If you got the same number, give them both to me. It's easy.
All right, I got 4. Now, this draft class, like unlike last year where you guys heard me talk about James Cook and
You
almost
are
having
all in on
100,
James Cook.
almost 100%. You know what? I'm very happy I got him in a bunch of leagues because I think this year it could pan out. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, hopes is a fool's errand. You can crap in one hand and wish in the other and see which one fills up first.
You guys are weird in Minnesota.
I have Charlie Jones, Cincinnati wide receiver.
Okay.
He was pretty much dirt cheap, but I think if there's an injury on that wide receiver core and next year when Boyd leaves, he would be a perfect fill-in. I really liked him at Iowa. And then when he went to, I think it was Purdue.
Purdue, yeah.
I really like this tape, fast guy. And then Jahmyr Gibbs is my other one
Fancy.
at 4. Yeah, I was actually shocked by that, but I ended up having in a couple single quarterback leagues, I ended up having the 102, 103 range, and then also in like say UDPL, I trade up to 105 to get him, and then in a couple other leagues, I just had the right draft position, landed him right spot. So yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm very excited for him. I'm not going to kind of overhype it as everybody else is.
But Tyler, he was 1 pound shy of 200.
I know. I know. Just like Memphis always says, get that man a sandwich or something like that is what Memphis always said. Like if he had a sandwich before he hopped on the scale, he'd be 202 or something like that.
He's a biscuit shy of 200 pounds.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about the weight at all. He looked electric in Alabama, and the whole entire news like, oh, he should gain some weight. It's like, no, he's an electric player with his weight the way it is. The NFL's getting lighter. Who cares?
Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. I've got 4 guys that I have in
Not
3
5
leagues.
guys?
Not burgers and fries. I'm 1 man short. Would you like to be my 5th guy, Tyler? So I've got 4 players that I have 3 rostership, 20%. Well, it's a little skewed, not 20% because 2 of these leagues, one's an eliminator and some other Scott Fish Bully thing. So the 4 players that I have the most shares of is I have Sean Tucker, no surprise. Probably overdrafted him late 3rd, usually early 4th was where I was targeting him in Superflex and in single Q. I have Sam Laporta, who I've aggressively traded up for in 2 leagues because I like Sam Laporta. He's my tight end too. To get him 5 or 6 spots after Michael Mayer, I was all in. Especially in tight end premium in the UDPL, the league that we're all in, I made a move to move up and get Sam Laporta because I think he's going to be awesome at tight end for years to come. I know Detroit's, an opportunistic landing spot. They didn't use Hawkinson the way that we wanted them to, but I think Laporta is a different player than TJ Hawkinson. And I think he's going to, with all the speed and shiftiness between Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and when Jameson Williams comes back after suspension, there's going to be plenty of room to roam for Mr. Sam Laporta. So I'm all in on him. And then I have 3 shares of Kayshon Boutte from the New England Patriots. I was able to get him pretty late in most drafts. Usually, I think the highest that I got him was around the 310 in a single QB league, because single QB leagues, man,
Dries up real quick.
It dries up. And this was a 14-team league too. So it was so getting him at the end of the 3rd, it was really a teardrop for me.
When did we get him at in trade Addict 7? I want to say we
got him in the late 3rd.
Yeah, late 3rd.
Yep.
I didn't have any shares of him, and Doug came up to me
and I was like, and Tyler's like, what are you hearing in New England? I'm like, I'm hearing that
first to sign, you said.
He was the first player to sign out of the rookie class. He came in with the right attitude. So I think Boutte, when you talk about ceiling potential, I think it's there. And it's a late 3rd round rookie pick. If he doesn't pan out, so be it. It's not the end of the world. You didn't have to spend a mid-second or anything for him. If he didn't have some of the issues that he had in LSU last year with some attitude and maybe some health stuff, I think he would have been a first-round NFL pick coming out. So I like Kayshon Boutte quite a bit. And then my 3rd one, and this is really because I have Joe Burrow in 6 leagues. which is a beautiful luxury, by the way. It is Andre Isivich from Princeton.
Nailed it.
I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Isivich.
Those aren't real names.
I know they are not. It's Andre Kirilenko. That's what we're going to call him. Vakaitis. So the way that I look at it this way, he was pretty much free in all my rookie leagues. He was a late fourth or a UDFA pickup. And we don't know what's going to go on with T. Higgins' contract situation. But here's a hyper athletic kid, 6'3", from Princeton. I know it's not a power school or anything like that, but he's a freak athlete. He's still learning the position. It's a total lottery ticket. You just never know. Could this offense be Jamar Chase, Charlie Jones, and Andre Ivich in 2 years? Yeah, it could be. You never know.
Hope not, though, for Joe Burrow's case. You hope T. Higgins is there.
Yeah, I mean, I love T. Higgins. I hope he's there for sure. But it's going to be one of those things. Can you afford to sign all these players? We don't know. So for me, take a flyer on a guy that could project as a starting outside receiver that has elite speed, elite athleticism, and he's 6'3". So to me, I was like, you know what? That gives me the best chance for a freebie. So those are the 4 players that I have. And I want to circle back on Sean Tucker for a second. I know a lot of, everyone was scared off that he didn't get drafted. There was some medical red flags. He was a little bit late. Yeah, he was a little bit late to sign with Tampa, but he cleared his medical with them. So he is on the team. I just loved his tape. And you know what? For me, the opportunity is good. He's behind Rachaad White, who is not an efficient runner. He was a great pass catcher last year, but he wasn't good in between the tackles. His running metrics weren't anything spectacular. And then they've got Keyshawn Yawn. Sorry, Robbie Jeffries.
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah. It's Keyshawn Yawn. And who else is there? They've got someone else. I can't even remember.
They've got Chase Edmonds, who I actually like
again.
as a flyer. I like Chase Edmonds as a flyer. Hopefully he can find
hopefully he gets his mojo back. But for me, Sean Tucker is a guy that hey, he comes in as UDFA. He got a good amount of money. He got more than most late fifth, sixth, seventh round picks get guaranteed. So to me, that's a sign of faith that they like Sean Tucker too. They're hoping the best for the medicals. The talent is there. I think if he didn't have a medical issue, he would have been a 3rd round draft pick. We'd probably be talking about maybe late 2nd. Running backs are weird because, the NFL doesn't value them as much. But for me, I'm willing to take a flyer on a guy that could have a sky high ceiling. And then if he doesn't end up being anything because of his medicals, unfortunate, right? But to me, it's worth the risk. So I've got Sean Tucker on a handful of leagues and I'm cool with it.
I like Sean Tucker because I'm not going to go as far as to accuse Tampa Bay of tanking, but they have no interest or zero reason to bring in a Zeke Elliott or re-sign Leonard Fournette or bring in one of those guys. Whereas a guy that I've seen go crazy high in the last week about all these drafts I've been doing, Chase Brown, who's quote unquote listed as the backup in Cincinnati. I don't think he's the best prospect, and his ADP in Superflex leagues has went from about 310. Last week I saw him go 210.
I got him at 308 in our league.
And I think that's bananas at 210 because Cincinnati, unlike Tampa Bay, they're a contender. Mm-hmm. And if something was to happen to Joe Mixon, either legally or injury-wise, that's a team that I see bringing in Lombardi Lenny. I see him bringing in a Zeke, maybe bringing in a Kareem Hunt. They're not going to go into what could be the last.
Trevion Williams.
Yeah, I don't see them going hardcore leaning on a rookie like Chase Brown, whereas your guy, I like Sean Tucker quite a bit as well. I see that, he's not likely to have veteran competition brought in to take those targets. And I wanted to go back to Keyshawn Butte if I can for a second. Mm-hmm. Because where you're getting him, I agree. Because he's my 2nd most owned wide receiver. I have 4 shares of Mr. Butte. And what I like about him is you're, like you said, you're getting him late 3rd, early 4th, right?
Yep.
You mentioned the term earlier. Tyler did. Debbie Darling, right? If Keyshawn Butte even flashes in the slightest, your ROI on a Keyshawn Butte trade this time next year is going to be bananas because he was a Debbie Darling. He went to LSU. People are going to look back a year from now and they're going to go, see, I told you he was good in college. See,
and he's got opportunity on New England for target.
You know how excited I am for those tweets?
Oh, it's going to happen, and you're going to be able to start cashing in some of that Butte. That's a hell of a turn of phrase. You're going to be able to cash in on some of that Butte. Like, hey, I invested a late 3rd, early 4th, and I can maybe. I mean, if he has a good season and he becomes their de facto wide receiver 1. You're going to have some runway to get some good draft capital back for him. So That's why I have so much. A, I do believe in the talent. B, he's short stopped on the depth chart. Like it's just him and Devontae Parker. But I think he's good enough. He can play all the receiver positions. He can play the slot. He could play outside. He could play all the above. So there's a lot of runway there, and his pedigree and his Devy background, I think you're buying that as well, which is great because it's not even baked into the price.
Yep, 100%. So Memphis, you mentioned Debute as your second highest owns with three shares, right? Who else is on that list for you?
The last guy I have significant multiple copies of is Marvin Mims.
Yes.
Actions speak louder than words. And Sean Payton in Denver, like for 2 weeks, he took away Russell Wilson's parking spot and he traded up to get, Marvin Mims. I love him. I have not seen anybody. I mean, the guy had a career year when Caleb Williams left Oklahoma. Caleb Williams, let's go to USC. And Marvin Mims is like, well, what the hell? I'll have a career season. Feels like a nice time for it.
Do you know who the quarterback is at Oklahoma that was throwing him the ball?
It was John Doe.
No,
I have no clue.
Do you remember UCF's big championship run? Everybody's like, oh my God, this team is undefeated.
Is it like a 30-year-old like Brandon Whedon type?
Yep. Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, wow.
I think that's his first name, but I know his last name is Gabriel. He's a lefty. He is like 87 years old. He is a journeyman. It's pretty much close.
Is it as bad as Stetson Bennett spending 7 years at the University of Georgia and not having a degree?
I mean, I think Stetson Bennett is a little more.
It's a great name,
a better player, but it's not good.
It's not. But Marvin Mims, Jerry and I actually on the Dynasty Warzone podcast, we were just talking about it feels like the Denver wide receiver room's got a loser leave town match. Speaking of pro wrestling, they have a loser leaves town match, but it could be Tim Patrick. I think it's going to be Cortland Sutton.
Yep, that's my winner or loser
because when you have all that money, they just, for a team that spent $250 million on Russell Wilson last year, they've got some very expensive wide receivers. Money.
They got the great value.
Unfortunately, Walmart they could afford it, but because of the salary cap, there'll be some adjustments. I love Marvin Mims. I love his game. I loved it when I heard Steve Smith say he's underutilized. He could do so much more. So for me, I think he's a guy that's got tremendous upside and great landing spot. I don't know if we're getting the Denver sucked last year under Nathaniel Hackett discount, but even in Superflex, I saw him going between 207 and 212. It's unbelievable. He got no love coming out of there. And if there's a guy that could be that Tyler Lockett to Russell Wilson for the next 3 years, because based on his dead cap money,
he ain't going nowhere.
It's Marvin Mims. And I'm just telling you, man, you're getting so much value because Russell Wilson was bad last year. He was QB 15. That's how bad he was. That was bad, quote unquote bad. He was a borderline QB 1 in a 12-team league, and that was his down year. You add in Sean Payton, you add in Marvin Mims. I'm stoked to have Mims as my third most.
So if you guys are trying to decide what wide receiver you want to keep on your roster from the Broncos, go ahead and look at Cortland Sutton's success rate against man and press. It's god awful. His success rate against man is like 19% or so. It's not good. It's one of the worst they've ever recorded. Yeah, I mean, if his knee injury might have affected him a little more than we thought, and it's sad because it looked promising, and now I don't think it's gonna happen. Jerry Jeudy, they just gave the 5th-year option, so I think he's there. But Mims, I think is gonna be a perfect complement to Jeudy and Dulcich and Javonte when he comes back.
Yeah, this offense should be kind of fun to watch as long as Russell. I think Sean Payton's going to make all the difference in the world for Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be huge.
People need to remember Sean Payton's not in the Saints anymore. So whatever you think is going to happen in that backfield, they're not the same Saints as well.
Yeah, I just look at it from a Russell Wilson standpoint. I think he's like a great buy in your Superflex leagues because look what Sean Payton did with Drew Brees. Like their skill sets are pretty similar. Yeah, especially because Russell doesn't scramble anymore.
And all the offensive linemen they brought in. They brought in Ben Powers, a guard in free agency. They brought in Mike McGlinchey in free agency. I mean, how did Sean Payton protect Drew Brees? Guard, center, guard. And what did he come in and instantly add to? I think, Doug, you said it best, is that Russell Wilson, people are, because I think part of it was the quote unquote bad play last year, but part of it is his personality is just so cringe.
It's spicy.
It is spicy, and you get a spicy
It
discount
left a bad
because
taste in people's mouths, if you will.
Oh, I see what you did there.
They took that sandwich off the menu like 2 days after because it was not
Because like
great.
no one was buying it.
I do believe, and I do believe that Sean Payton is going to make a world of difference, and we're going to look back and be like, it was like
sleeping
one
on
down
Russell
year. Russell Wilson outside of this has been like top 5 the majority of his career since 2012. And I'm not a Russell Wilson guy. I've never liked him because I'm a Colts fan, and he came out in the same draft as Andrew Luck, and he always seemed to get more love than Andrew Luck, and that always chapped my ass. But I got to be honest, I agree, Doug. I think Russ is a steal.
Yeah, 100%. Tyler, who do you guess? So Memphis had Marvin Mims. Tyler, who's
All right.
next
I've
bunch
got
of players?
I've got a bunch at 3. The main one, Jordan Addison. I absolutely
have
love
zero
the landing.
Jordan
I
Addison,
love the landing
unfortunately.
spot. I think he's going to be a perfect complement to Justin Jefferson up here in Minnesota. I don't think people are like, oh, Hawkinson is dominating. I fear for Hawkinson because of Jordan Addison coming in. I think Kirk Cousins is going to love the guy. Justin Shorter, I have 3 shares of. I think he was a nice late snag. My Gabe Davis love has definitely faded, and I will try another shot at a Buffalo receiver. My other one, you guys know I love Luke Musgrave. I have 3 shares of him. I absolutely love him. And also, let's go with his teammate, Tucker Kraft. I would snag him 2 rounds later if I got Musgrave, because you know what? Might as well take that shot. One of them's got to be right. So let's go with both. Parker Washington for Jacksonville. I really liked his tape from Penn State. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife type player, so just got him pretty much for free off free agency. And Trey Palmer is one of my favorite draft steals in these rookie drafts. You can get him off free agents.
We just got him on waivers in TA7. Everyone was asleep at the wheel in the waivers.
Yep,
waiver
love
wire
Trey
run.
Palmer.
Memphis,
Speed.
I'm looking at you.
Oh, I didn't have any draft picks. I was too busy splitting the winnings with you guys last
Well,
year.
we did
and
not.
We didn't
not
draft him. We got him as a
picked him up.
UDFA.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was asleep at the wheel. I think I was just mostly asleep.
And I got Zay Flowers at 3.
Nice.
And I'm really coming around to this Baltimore offense. And, if I'm sitting here saying the Saints aren't the same offense, as Sean Payton, I've also got to say Baltimore's not going to be the same offense without, what's his name? God, what's the old
Greg
OCs?
Roman?
Greg
Roman.
Roman.
Yeah.
Because, there's
There's a lot of buzz on Monken, but I don't know that I necessarily agree.
I really like his style of offense, and he's proven everywhere he's been that he's a pretty good OC, and he knows how to spread the ball around. So I really like him for Lamar as a thrower. So yeah, Zay Flowers, I have 3 shares of, which is surprising because you guys all know I had Quentin Johnson ahead of Zay Flowers, but it seemed like every draft I had the 9 or 10, Johnson went ahead of me, and I'm like, okay, let's go Zay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to go back to Addison. I think Addison and Hawkinson are fine because I forget the name of their head coach. See, maybe you can bail me
Kevin
out.
O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, well, I got, of course, 2 Minnesota guys. Well, I guess Minnesota guys.
KOC.
He used to be
Yeah.
a Patriots quarterback, so that's how
Well, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Rams the year they won the Super Bowl, and Matt Stafford that year threw 600 passes. And then last year, Captain Kirk Cousins threw 643. And Adam Thielen's in Carolina, I think there'll be more than enough
Cook
to
might be
eat.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an all-you-can-eat buffet, and anyone who thinks that the Tyler Hawkinson is the reason not to draft Jordan Addison,
Tyler Hawkinson. Nice.
Tyler TJ.
I know I look like him now.
You do without the hair, but you don't have the Captain
Locks.
Caveman hair.
The
Yeah.
Jesus locks.
Yeah, I mean, he's a beautiful head of hair.
He does.
Yes.
No, you guys know I will always love Hawkinson. Memphis, you were right there with me that year.
100%. I mean, he's finally becoming everything that we thought he could be.
Yeah.
And I think for some people there would be a debate in a dynasty startup about whether they take Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson. You go ahead and take Kyle Pitts where you got to draft him, and I'll wait a couple of rounds later and I'll take TJ Hawkinson, and we'll just see who gets the money.
Hey, the Kyle Pitts value is definitely lowering.
So shameless plug, Jerry and I are going to do an FFPC draft. We're going to do it together. That's a sponsor of one of our podcasts. And so we're going to do like that how-to video, how to go in, how to sign up, how to log in, how to use a promo code, all of these various things. And I'll report back because the FFPC is a tight end premium format. And I'll be curious to see because we most of my startups this year have been through our patron league. So that's skewed data because that's our group. Those are our peeps.
Yep.
But I'm very curious to see what the FFPC at a tight end premium does with Hawkinson, Pitts.
The buy-in
for
FFPC is very high.
I know his ADP in redraft currently. Pitts is in the 60s in redraft. That's regular standard format.
That would
give you an
sense.
idea. I mean, he was a third rounder last year in the 30s usually. So yeah, I mean, it gives you an idea. Like, yeah, there's some value to be made potentially with Kyle Pitts. So he's definitely one of the more enigmatic players, I think.
It's totally going to be an Arthur Smith move because, like Memphis, you and I have talked. I think Arthur Smith is an actual like legit good coach, unlike everybody else in Twitter space. I think he is. I think he's a good head coach. He proved it with, the offensive line that he had was almost the same offensive line they had before with the old head coach. Now they're a top 5 PFF. Or no, the Athletic gave him a top 5 grade, I think, for this upcoming season. And I mean, they can run the crap out of the ball. It'd be an Arthur Smith move to have him switch it up and start throwing the ball all over the yard, making this
That'll
a wide open
be next year
offense.
when they drop a rookie quarterback into that offense.
Hey, I still have faith in Ritter. I still like him a little bit more. He's
all
Jared Goff.
Let's keep it moving. I'm going to I've got 13 players that I have on my roster.
Damn.
2-piece. I'll just give you some of the highlights / lowlights. I talked a little bit about Charlie Jones earlier. I really like his skill set. He reminds me of a bit of a juiced up Hunter Renfrow. He's got the size.
Why does it remind you of Hunter Renfrow?
Because he's a slot guy.
And
he's got great footwork. He's scrappy. He's taller and he's faster than Hunter Renfrow. So that's why I say he's juiced up. Not that he does steroids or anything. I've got the Los Angeles Rams tight end Davis Allen in a couple spots from Clemson. I like him a lot. Here's a fun one. Demario Douglas from the New England Patriots. He is pretty much your discount Tank Dell in this year's draft class. New England loves him. So I was like, you know what? I picked him up for free in a couple of spots. If he's available in your league, go grab him. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs in 2 leagues, so that's a nice luxury to have. One of the leagues I had the 102, and it's a single QB. So we took Jahmyr Gibbs. Most of my teams I'm actually contending, so I didn't have a lot of super early round draft capital in leagues. But I've got Michael Mayer in a couple. I do have Tank Dell in a couple. Will Levis in a couple of super flex leagues. Will Mallory, who is a free tight end. If you chase athleticism and lineage, he went to Miami. He tested out as a really nice athlete. People are going to be like, oh, the Colts, he's logged behind Mo Alley Cox, and he's behind Kylan Granson, and he's behind what's his face that they drafted last year, Jelani Woods. He's a different type of player, Will Mallory, than all those guys. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got better footwork, he's a better route runner than those guys. So he's a perfect stash in your taxi. Have him on the taxi for 2 years and see what happens. He's free. I really like Will Mallory. He was one of my big sleeper tight ends. And I'm a tight end guy. So I'm the tight end whisperer, as some would say. I see him. I call him. They work out sometimes. And I've got Michael Mayer in a couple of spots. Jaden Reed, one of my favorite late second round picks. Talk about opportunity in year one. You drop him in Green Bay. He's a starting slot receiver. He's got juice. He's got top 50 draft capital. He's going to get on the field. He has no competition at that spot for targets. The amount of targets that the Packers have lost over the middle of the field between Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and Robert Tonyan is almost like 300, I believe. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback, and it's Jordan Love, but they've got 2 rookie tight ends there. They've got Jaden Reed, who's a little bit of an older player. He was a star of the Senior Bowl. He's going to vacuum up targets from Jordan Love this year. I know Christian Watson, he's not a target hog, and Romeo Doubs, a little bit of up and down. I think Jaden Reed is going to have a great rookie year right out of the gate. And to get him in the late second round, for me, I looked at it as like, I'd take him in the mid-second. I thought he was a steal. I like Jaden Reed a lot. So he's one of my highlight players.
I have a feeling he's going to be overdrafted, and he's going to be one of those players where like, oh, man, like he came out of nowhere. We should have seen this. Like, he wasn't on anybody's radar early on.
You know who likes him? Matt Harmon likes him. You know who I like to like, he's got a pretty good track record with the receivers, doing the film work and looking at some of his
He's got a
separation and win route.
He's got a type.
Yeah, but it's not a bad type. I put some weight into that, and I did the work on Jaden Reed myself, and I was like, you know what? I really like this kid. I think you can use him on the outside or the inside. He's versatile, which Dobbs, I mean, you really can't drop him in the slot. Watson, you can move him around a little bit, but the target opportunity is there in year one. So why not in the late second round? It just seems like a slam dunk. Memphis, what do you think about Jaden Reed?
I like Jaden Reed. I want Jordan Love to be a thing. Tyler knows
Same.
I want Jordan Love to be a thing.
Me
I'm just
too.
concerned that Jordan Love's not going to be a thing.
He'll be
But
a thing at least for 2 years.
If he does, if he is a thing, I think Jaden Reed becomes the number 2 option in that offense with the upside of becoming the number 1. I don't think Christian Watson is necessarily locked in as this bona fide wide receiver 1, but the guy that I have a lot of shares of that you haven't mentioned from the NFC North was Dwayne McBride, Minnesota Viking.
Great pickup.
I mean, so I was listening to a podcast. It's called 3 and Out with a guy named John Middlecoff, former NFL scout. And he was talking about the reason why he got drafted by Minnesota is they had a very high grade on him. They really liked this kid, but the reason why he fell so late in the NFL draft was he had a bit of that knucklehead factor to him.
A little fumbleitis too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, it was more about the immaturity, but like this guy had like a 1,400-yard rushing season and a 1,700-yard rushing season at UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. This kid, you take that Birmingham out of there, if you put Dwayne Bride on Alabama, who knows? I just know that Minnesota likes him. Word on the street is on June 1st, they're going to cut Dalvin Cook. And everything I've heard from non-fantasy people, because you don't always want to fall for that fantasy echo chamber, is this guy is a ball player, and it would not be shocking by like around that Thanksgiving time that if he doesn't take over the lead back role in this offense, doesn't have a great pass catching profile.
Nope.
But did they ever ask him to catch passes? This is the same question we asked last year about Kenneth Walker.
Or A.J. Dillon before that.
Or A.J. By the way, A.J. Dillon's another guy.
Catchers.
I'm buying. A.J. Dillon is probably my favorite Packer to buy right now. He was a post-hype sleeper, so he was supposed to have broke out last year, did not. And you're kind of getting that discount, and you're getting the Packers' offense is down going to be discount. I think they're going to lean fairly heavily on the run game, and A.J. Dillon could bounce. Little side note for you.
Yeah. I like that. And A.J. Dillon, guess what? He can catch passes. He caught more passes last year than he did in his collegiate career.
A.J. Dillon.
Take that, haters. Jonathan
Great
Taylor can't
quads.
catch passes either. I remember all these guys. Every year there's one. Oh, you can't catch passes.
Well, I have a question for you because I kind of went out of order. I didn't tell you my second most rostered guy, rookie. That's Kendre Miller. Where are you guys at with Kendre Miller?
Wow, funny you should say that, actually.
We have a review we should read to you because we.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
we did.
Go ahead. Yeah, share it. This is podcast gold.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut in real quick. So I love how the reviewer he said what he said, and that's fine. I respect that. When I made the pick, I said, okay, I'll go with the bit, and I won't take Kendre Miller. So like I acknowledge that at that point it was kind of a bit that we were doing, and we didn't take Kendre Miller, and it was funny, but the guy took it as like we were being serious.
Yeah, I mean I think he's a raw runner. To me, he's a raw running back. He seems like he can learn. Alexander Madison comes to mind because when I watch his Boise State tape, Alexander Madison, all the talent. But man, he missed holes. His vision, he was almost too quick for his own good. That's Kendre Miller to me. And if the Saints can get a better coach / OC in there, I think he'll be just fine. But I don't think this offense is going to be any good. I mean, I honestly, I think for me, they're going to run Alvin Kamara into the ground still. And I mean, Kendre Miller, yeah, he's got the youth, he's young, but if he starts learning to be a little more patient, kind of like Le'Veon Bell his first year, how he's a different player, maybe we see that, and Kendre is a big steal. I wouldn't be shocked either because, like I said, all the talent in the world, but man, he just seemed a little raw to me. Alexander Madison learned a bunch of skills from Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook kind of taught him what he needed to learn, and I'm hoping that
Madison's in year 4?
Yeah, and Madison is also super young. He's 23, 24 years old. So Same with Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is young, so he's got some time to grow.
So Memphis, you like him because he's your second most rostered guy.
Yes, sir. I mean, here's the thing. So I don't believe any of us know as much as all of us. And from literally the first week of February through the draft, I've been blessed to have a lot of guests come on the show with me. Whether it's Garrett Price, who's in the league with us, the UDPL, whether it's Bruce Matson from DLF, Casey Myers from the FF Dynasty, also in that league with us. All those guys, I never had any guests come on the Dynasty Warzone during the pre-NFL season discussing running backs with me. I could not find one person who had a negative thing to say about Kendre Miller. I mean, we've all got opportunities here or there, but Bruce and Garrett and Casey and all these guys, I've got to listen. It's like, wait a minute, no one's saying anything bad. He got drafted behind
Tyler Gunther.
Well, I don't even think Tyler's, according to this reviewer, according to Tyler's,
I hate him.
You hate him. I don't think that's true either. I think Tyler is just doing his due diligence and bringing up something that's a potential opportunity. It doesn't mean Tyler hates him. It just means that nobody's a surefire prospect. Mm-hmm. Even Bijan, who we all love. There's a risk. It may be a small risk. It may be like 0.001%.
We've seen running backs go in the top 10 and not be great.
I always say that there's a less than zero chance or a greater than zero chance that there's risk. So there's some risk with Kendre Miller. I just look at the depth chart. I don't think Jamal Williams is going to get 17 touchdowns again this year and have more touchdowns in a season than Barry Sanders.
Catch some new Pokemon down there, though.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is likely getting a 10-game suspension. I have to assume it's 10 games. I don't know when that suspension will be meted out. Normally, it's usually sometime around training camp. So if that's the case, and you're going into the season, it could be Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller for 10 games. And I just say that because of the violence committed by Alvin Kamara was caught on videotape. It was a different kind of violence with Kareem Hunt caught on videotape. Hunt got 10 games. I think Kamara is probably going to get in that same neighborhood, and that puts him on the field right away. My only thing is I would love to know like his athletic measurables, because he had an MCL surgery right after the national championship game, and we've yet to see those true like 40 time and burst score and those things. But I think the ability to get on the field, and I don't know if you guys knew this. I don't know how their finances are that bad. The Saints are already $90 million over the 24 cap. There's teams with like 180 million in cap room.
They figure it out every year, though.
To their credit, they do. But eventually, where can you cut costs? And I think one of the costs that'll be cut, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, and I just think where he's going.
Hard cut though. That's the issue. Is he's a very hard
Thomas
cut
would be
after
easy.
Next year.
Yeah, I think there's moves to be made. I just think there's like opportunity. Derek Carr. A lot of dude, Derek Carr. Derek Carr's. I mean, we make fun of Derek Carr.
Start Jameis. What are they thinking?
Well, they want to keep the interceptions down. But I like Derek Carr in that if you want your running backs catching check down passes, you want a Derek Carr. Derek Carr is going to be great for check down work. So
do you though? Derek Carr didn't really check it down that much to Josh Jacobs.
I would have to look.
I don't think Carr's a big check down guy.
He loves tight ends.
He does.
Juwan Johnson, baby, get you some.
That's right.
Loves tight ends and loves slot receivers. Sorry, Chris Olave.
You know what else you should get for
Josh
your
Jacobs, by the way, 53, 54 receptions the last 2 years. 53, 54.
How much of those were Stidham in those games? No,
I don't know.
But speaking of slot receivers and tight ends, make sure you check out manscaped.com. They've got amazing products. That's right. I went there. Tyler's laughing already. Memphis perked up. Life is good. Check out manscaped.com. Lawnmower 4.0. You're going to get a nose trimmer, ear trimmer. If you're old like Memphis and I, you're going to need those kind of things. You get those, they're kind of poking out a little bit. They may bother you. They're going to get taken care of. And if you want to have the best presentation, you've got a wash, you've got a cleanser, you've got some deodorant. You're going to smell good. You're going to look good. You're going to feel good. And that's important. So make sure you go on manscaped.com and use code D for 20% off today. All right, let's get into the best of the rest. I want you to give me some obscure names that you've got some rostership of.
for me, I've got 3 in my Superflex leagues, and it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
I've got him in one.
I got him in,
Back up to
Deshaun.
Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. He's, speaking of like ball wash, he's into some weird stuff.
They're young kids. Let them do their thing.
Hey, I'm just saying, that there's more than injury risk with a Deshaun Watson.
Mhm.
So I like the Charlie Toon.
Oh, I
the
thought you were talking about
No. Those
For
are a couple
everybody-
guys
for everybody
that
Does
listening,
Charlie
I did
Toon
not-
start games for Arizona this year?
Man,
Yes.
I think if you're Arizona and you're like low key quiet quitting, why wouldn't you? Why would you rush Kyler back? Why
I like
wouldn't you?
Toon.
I do too. I think if he's the kind of guy that
Toon
Tune
squad.
in.
to just tune in and
Toon squad.
if he has a
Toon
couple of
squad.
decent games, can they flip him for something next off season? I don't know. Just I like it. I played
They
a lot of
flip
super
Kyler
flex.
in the offseason? That's the question.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
real.
the Brock Purdy corollary. You're looking to get these guys super cheap if they become anything, if they
And
start.
the NFL told you, with all the quarterbacks that were drafted, they're looking for their Brock Purdy this year.
Absolutely.
Oh
'Cause
my gosh.
all these teams do not want
Sean
to pay.
Clifford got drafted. That's all you need to know.
So yeah, those are a couple of the obscure guys. Outside, I already mentioned McBride. I'll tell you a guy I don't have enough of. How about that?
Sure.
Tyon Evans.
I got a onesie of Tyon Evans.
I have one as well, but I wish I had more because you got Cam Akers and his bad Achilles tendon.
You'd be smirching Florida State players.
I
Hey,
like Cam Akers. This is a make or break year, but he's been
Maker
broken.
breakers.
He's been breaking more than he's been making. And Tyon Evans is a big man. He's that bruising back. He could be really, what's between Tyon Evans and relevant, snaps
Zach
this year?
Evans.
Yeah, exactly. Zach Evans and a guy I really
Kyron
wanted to be good.
Williams.
I really wanted him to be good. He's not good.
Ronnie
He's
Rivers,
not-
maybe?
Hey, it's the Notre Dame running back curse. Trust me.
I know.
I've fallen for it way too many times.
So
Julius
for
Jones in
me,
the building.
it's kind of like the poker analogy, a chip in a chair. That kind of feels like Tyon Evans. If you're going to gamble on quarterbacks and running backs, because if both hit, they're both going to be we talked about it earlier with Keyshawn Butte. He's got the Devy thing, but I want to be able to flip these guys. I don't want to hang on to them. Stetson Bennett. Matthew Stafford. I think I would not be shocked if this is his last year in the league. I would not be shocked if he retired. You got the money.
want a
He's had
Super
health
Bowl?
issues.
You got half.
You
of
got
back.
walk away while you're,
The team
You
is
can
not good.
still walk away, right?
I think Matthew Stafford could be good on TV. You see these deals Matt Ryan, guys like that are getting. It's like, what's quality of life worth? You can walk
100%.
away and he's not, again, he's got the money, he's got the
Another
ring.
Detroit Lion retiring early.
I don't think he's going to play through a broken back again. He's going to be like, no. And then you might see Stetson Bennett, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to flip these thirds, fourth, fifths when they hit. So I'm always going to kind of err toward running back and wide receiver, or running back and quarterback.
So for me, Elijah Higgins, the Miami wide
converted wide
converted
receiver.
to a
Yeah,
It's a tight
that was
end.
not very well publicized that they were converting him, because it's really Durham Smythe, and
That's it.
then Higgins. It's Durham
Yeah.
Smythe.
Because
and
they
then
traded Hunter Long.
Hunter Long went to L.A.
that's
Gesicki went to the Patriots in
Yep.
free agency. It's Durham Smythe and Higgins. I think that's a great one, to be honest with you.
I have a lot of Evan Hall. I really like picking him up late.
Or is it UDFA in the league that Memphis was sleeping?
Yes, Israel Abanikanda. I like
Anna
him
Bakanda don't want
just
none?
because Brees Hall. I get he's injury prone, but hey, let's be honest. Look who's OC. Look what he did in Green Bay. He loves two running backs. This league is. Brees is going to get his. Don't worry about that. I'm not worried about. I think Brees is an elite player, but Izzy has that breakaway speed to where he could be a Tony Pollard light in this offense if possible. Puka Nakua, I really like because
Yeah, that's a really good one as well.
he's a guy that I really liked as a Devy person when he went to Washington and then he transferred to BYU. But when he was at Washington, I snagged him up in Campus Canton League, and he's a very high recruit. So like
Opportunities there too.
Yep. And then let me see, Jalen Hyatt. is another player where I was not a fan of, did not like the tape, but guess what?
The
He
ADP's
fell.
good.
He fell so far in rookie drafts, almost a fringe late first rounder. He was, stat out to be before the NFL draft happened. Then all of a sudden, he's a 3rd-round pick. Boom! Now he's a 3rd-round rookie pick.
Well, I'm looking at in our UDPL. He went 304 between Cedric Tillman and Keyshawn Butte. That's a steal. I mean, look at the look.
Izzy with the Butte in 305.
Look at the future postmen, dog walkers, dock workers that are on the Giants wide receiver room. I mean, the again, I'm always looking path to least resistance, and Jalen Carter. I mean, would it be surprising if we look back a year from now and he's literally the best wide receiver on that team, even better than Rondale Moore? I mean, Darren Waller, I'm throwing Darren Waller out because he's a tight end. I'm talking about just true wide receiver.
Wandale Robinson, Memphis.
James would be pissed.
Rondale Moore's on Arizona.
Yeah, so
Rondale Moore, and
the short
same
receiver.
size, though.
It's like that scene from Office Space. I'm not going to work here anymore.
not gonna work here anymore. One player I do want to ask you guys: what is one player you wish you had a share of? And that is Anthony Richardson. So I don't have a share of him.
Zippo.
Possible. I have a lot of money in that bar tab league. I have
True.
a ton of cash that I can go out and get him. And you know what? I had Anthony Richardson. I had 102. It's a fantasy footballers OG writers league. It was a bunch of the writers that start out with the fantasy footballers. It's a 10-team league. I had 102. Drafted him. Didn't really need him, but I drafted him because my quarterbacks are good. I had somebody come up to me and offer me Stroud plus for Richardson, and I thought to myself, okay, like Richardson's my 3rd quarterback. I have upside at quarterback already. I can do this, and I did. Like, I was very happy about it. I got a ton back, you guys. Like, I don't remember the trade, but I know for sure I got my values worth in coming back, and I got Stroud, that was my first share of and only share. I think he's safe. He's fine, but he's a perfect quarterback 3 for this team. So I wish I did have a little more Anthony Richardson, but I sadly do not have any shares as we speak.
Yeah, you skipped right over me. Thanks. I was going to give you my guys that I had some small shares of, small names, but that's cool. I don't have to share if you don't want to.
Do it.
That's fine.
Do it.
All right. We were talking about quarterbacks earlier with Stetson Bennett and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Mine is Aiden O'Connell. You want to talk about a depth chart with a class quarterback at Jimmy Garoppolo? Like Aiden O'Connell, good size, good tape. Could he start games this year?
And Jarrett Stidham's gone. Denver
he's in Denver.
Him.
So they don't have really anything at the quarterback position outside of Jimmy Garoppolo. So why not Aiden O'Connell starting some games as a rookie? Maybe he's this year's Brock Purdy. Who knows?
Oh, my God.
I know. We're all looking for him. I've got Jaron Hall. I've got from Minnesota. I've got to share him. Another tight end that I liked a lot and landed in a spot that a lot of people don't think is great because they have my boy Chigoziem Okonkwo there is Josh Wiley. Want the wicked Wiley? That's a old school hip hop reference. If you know that, then you're a real one.
Old references again.
I'm old, but I like Josh Wiley a lot. Out of Cincinnati, athletic tight end. I'm always chasing the athleticism.
Does he play basketball? That's the real question. I don't
think he played basketball.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think they run a lot of 2 tight ends in Tennessee because they don't have any freaking wide receivers.
Go get Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, I have Kyle Phillips in a bunch of leagues.
Wilson, Kyle Phillips.
And if you have him, you better hold on.
Hold on for one more day.
One more day. And then I've got Malik Cunningham on a deep roster. He's on the Patriots. Interesting signing. Could have. Yeah,
they gave him a lot of money, didn't they?
They did give him a lot of money. I've got Xavier Hutchinson on one roster. I wish I had him a little bit more, actually. I liked him quite a bit. And the guy that I don't have any of, it's a lot of these early players because, like I said, in a lot of leagues, I'm winning now. And honestly, in this class, I traded a lot of my picks in this class for established players.
Or you traded up.
I traded up. Yep.
To go get your guy.
Or I went and got my guy because in this class, I was like, you know what? I love Laporta. I'm just going to go and get my guy and I don't care. And that's kind of how I approached it is like, oh, I have, a late second and this, like, all right, I'm just going to move up and get my guy and give up my 3rd round pick. Cause what am I really missing out on with a late 3rd? Probably not a lot. So for me, it was more important to get those guys that were my guys. So that's how I used my draft capital this year. I didn't make most of my picks. I ended up trading, a lot of 3rd and 4th rounders to move up and shuffle the board and walk away with, a handful of players that I really wanted. That was more important to me than quantity. It was all about quality. So I used my picks as, like Memphis said, chips in a chair, right? Like just moving stuff around and making it happen. So that's how I approached it this year, and didn't give up too much future draft capital to move around, which is important because I think this 2024 class, I know we say it every year, but it projects to be a little bit deeper. I don't know if it's going to be any better. I know it's going to be top heavy as well, but I think the overall depth in that class is going to be better than this one. I think we all get excited, when the players reach their landing spots, and then it's kind of like we have the draft and we're like, ooh, I'm kind of deciding between guys that I'm like, oh, I don't care either way, and that's no fun. Memphis, who's a guy that you wish you had more of?
Man, I got Tajay Spear. I got Devon H. I mean, I have a little bit of everybody.
I have none of either of those guys.
I have one. I have two. And one of Spears.
But I think I'm in as many leagues as you guys combined, so I'm kind
That's
of
true.
I'm a little ahead of the curve. But I tell you, a guy I have none of, and I have 0 Raggerts, and that's Quentin Johnston.
I have 1.
I have 0.0.
I took 1 just in case I was wrong.
I took 0 just in case. I don't care. When I'm
not a fan.
Most of our leagues that we play in are tight end premium, and at that 108, because to me in Superflex tight end premium, the 101 through 107 is pretty much baked, right? At this point, it's Bijan, it's Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, Stroud, and Jigba, Gibbs, and Jordan Addison. There's your 7, right? At 8, especially in tight end premium, I'm going Dalton Kincaid there. I don't love 1st round rookie tight ends, but I have a type. I have a type, and I'm falling for a type. So for me, once you get to the 108, I'll be honest. Once you get to 108 to 208, that's a tier. Where in previous years it's like 108 to 112 is a tier. This year, 108 to 208 in Superflex tight end premium is a tier. Pick your guy, but my guy will not be Quentin Johnston. Just not a fan. I heard him recently called slow Brashad Perriman, and I cannot get it out of my mind.
Not great, Bob. Not great at all.
Yeah, Kincaid is getting Kyle Pitts level hype right now. So if you did take him at 108, you definitely have already a large ROI for a player that hasn't even touched the field.
You gotta love it. God bless America.
Yeah, and speaking of ROI, you know what you should go and do? You should check out the Dynasty Nerds and become a member of the Nerd Herd. There's tons of awesome things when you go on there. On dynastynerds.com, first of all, you use code DHH. You can save 15% off of any subscription. But they've got trade tools. There's an extra Nerd Herd episode every week. Prospect Film Room. So if you want to go back, look at your draft picks, and then for future classes, you have that access. Prospect Scores and the Dynasty GM. Absolutely awesome stuff over there with Rich and the team. And most importantly, it's the change of seasons, guys. If you need a new hat, you need a t-shirt, check out Viridian Global. Type in Dynasty Happy Hour. We've got all different wares that you can grab for the new summer season. Maybe you want to rock one at a Scott Fish Bowl if you're going to a live draft, or if you're going to the Fantasy Football Expo. All sorts of reasons. Or if you just want to look cool. I mean, let's be honest. Dynasty Happy Hour, beautiful colors, beautiful design. So before Tyler gets me, before we take off, any last words, gentlemen, before we wrap this thing up?
No. Thanks, Memphis, for coming on, and take the floor.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Guys, like I said, there is no reaches. This is more so than any other more than any other draft. This is the get your guy. You know, I think every round after you get past, because like I would rather trade out. Now there is a league that I'm in. It's actually my second to last draft. It's tight end premium must start 2. Not like 1 and then you have to start 2. And we're up to the 107. And I'm very curious to see when the tight ends are going to start coming off the board and how that
around that.
I'm expecting Kincaid to go number 8. But I just want to say this, you know, if you're listening to the Dynasty Happy Hour, the Dynasty War Zone, whatever that is, you love fantasy football. But I love Tyler and Doug. And I just want to, give them a shout out for having me on. But guys, the freest way. Now, yes, you can order a Trophy Smack trophy. Yes, you can get your balls cleaned up with some Manscaped. Yes, you can become a Nerd Herd member. That's all great. But it is 175% free to subscribe. It is 100% free to leave a review and not be a dick. And it's 100% free to support these guys with comments and stuff, because these guys are doing great stuff. So that's search Dynasty Warzone. If you're listening to this show, you can find us. And that's it. I really appreciate you guys having me come on. I couldn't say yes fast enough. As long as Tyler was willing to change the time, fill out my my pre-show rider. I got to have all green M&Ms, sparkling water.
True. Yeah, baby.
No pamplemousse. Get that pamplemousse out of here. But no, I couldn't say yes fast enough. I haven't seen your smiling faces enough this offseason.
Also, the best part about Dynasty Warzone is your Make-A-Wish Foundation guest host.
Jerry? Jerry is great, dude. Jerry is great. He is a very savvy Dynasty gamer. But man, check him out. Tell him that we told you to go bust his chops. He is at Jerryson.
He lives in the Satan's butthole of
so he lives. He used to live in Detroit. Now he lives in Ames, Iowa. He's just south of
Iowa.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm actually going to get to see Jerry in person again this summer. My son's playing at a baseball tournament at the Field of Dreams there in Iowa, and it's about an hour or so from where Jerry lives. So we're going to meet up and have dinner one night with Jerry. But yeah,
corn probably more
corn,
likely.
Corn,
just everything's corn,
mush corn cooked in corn syrup. It's with corn whiskey. That sounds like the dinner of champions.
That's an Iowa dinner right there.
I've been to Iowa once. Yeah, it was Iowa.
Did you miss it?
No. I stayed overnight in Iowa one night on my way to Nebraska. It was
Motel 6 probably.
It was a lot of flat land and a lot of wind turbines, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
They left the light on for him.
They left the light on for Doug.
Yeah. So that was going to wrap us up this week. Memphis, thank you for the kind words. Thanks for joining us. Check out Memphis everywhere you can. And again, follow him at DWZ Memphis. That is going to wrap us up for the Dynasty Happy Hour. I'm Doug. That's Tyler. That was Memphis. We'll see you next week.